In the middle of a crowded gathering, a girl was slapped right in front of everyone. Her father said nothing. He just stared at the man with sharp, intense eyes. The people around him thought he was a coward. But they were completely wrong. This man was no ordinary person. He was a retired CIA agent, one of the most dangerous men alive. He stayed quiet only because he did not want to ruin his family's holiday. But as they walked away, the anger inside him kept growing and growing. He made an excuse that he had left his phone inside and went back alone. His family tried to stop him, but he did not listen. He walked straight to the man in the yellow shirt and punched him hard in the face. He pushed him across the room and slammed him into a machine. When another thug came at him swinging a hammer, Hatch dropped him with just one blow. He grabbed a dumbbell and beat another attacker so badly that the man could not get up. The man in the yellow shirt tried to fight back, but Hatch smashed him straight into a mirror. He crashed down and did not get up again. Hatch was no ordinary man. He was once a deadly CIA assassin who only carried out secret killing missions. But he chose to retire early and live a quiet, simple life. In his previous mission, Hatch got tangled up with the Russian mafia and ended up burning through $300 million. He eventually killed the Russian boss, but the trouble did not stop there. That money did not just belong to the boss. It was the retirement savings of many powerful Russian mob members. Luckily, a secret CIA organization stepped in and paid off the debt on his behalf. But in return, Hatch had to keep working secret missions for the CIA until every single dollar was paid back. So for the next 4 years, Hatch became a killing machine all over again. He completed mission after mission like a man with nothing to lose. Killing had almost become a daily routine for him. When he asked how much debt was still left, the answer was around $30 million. Even after years of brutal and dangerous work, a massive amount still remained. He was so buried in missions that he had no time for his family. He missed watching his children grow up. His wife had reached her breaking point and wanted to have a real and honest conversation with him. But before she could even say a word, Hatch told her he had to leave for another mission. She was deeply hurt. But deep inside so was he. So he made a promise to himself that after this one mission, he would take a proper break and come home. His next mission started inside an elevator. He fought off a group of thugs quickly, completed the mission, and grabbed the memory card he needed. One thug lying on the ground tried to make a move, but Hatch caught him instantly, took his gun, and finished the job. But the moment he stepped outside, more trouble was already waiting. He was not scared at all. He pulled a gas cylinder close and fired directly at the attackers. But even that was not enough. More thugs showed up, and these ones were bigger and tougher than before. Hatch grabbed a metal pipe, wrapped it around his hand using a belt, blocked a knife attack with it, and landed a powerful counter blow. He took down 2 more men, struck another hard across the back, and when a whole group of thugs pushed him against a wall, he pulled out a knife and ended the fight in seconds. After the mission, Hatch reported back to his CIA boss. The boss was very pleased and told him that at this pace the entire debt would be cleared by next spring. He also told Hatch that he should go and spend some real time with his family. Looking at Hatch's tired and worn-out face, the boss agreed to give him time off. But before letting him go, the boss said something that cut very deep. He believed that Hatch's killer nature could never truly disappear. That no matter what, Hatch could never become a normal person again. But all Hatch ever wanted in this world was a normal and peaceful life. After a long and emotionally draining time, Hatch decided to take his whole family on a vacation. He wanted to relax, have fun, and fix the broken bonds between him and his loved ones. Along with his wife, his son Brady, and his daughter, Hatch's elderly father also joined the trip. The roads were scenic and beautiful. The whole family was laughing, playing, and enjoying every moment. None of them had any idea that danger was quietly and slowly creeping toward them. They arrived at a lively and colorful tourist town. Everything seemed wonderful and the family was having a great time. At a gaming arcade, Brady caught the attention of some girls with his cool and confident style. Feeling bold and excited, he tore off his winning game ticket and handed it to one of the girls as a gift. A boy standing nearby saw this and did not like it one bit. He walked over and started picking a fight with Brady, mocking him and trying to embarrass him in front of everyone. Brady was not scared at all because danger ran in his family's blood. But the boy in front of him was all words and no sense. When the boy snatched and tore apart the girl's toy out of anger, Brady had enough and threw a punch at him. Hatch turned around and rushed forward to stop his son, but the security guard got there first. Without thinking even for a second, the guard shoved Brady hard to the ground. Hatch arrived just in time and stepped in to protect his son from further harm. The security guard then ordered the entire family to leave and put the full blame on Brady for starting the trouble. Hatch wanted to argue and speak up, but his wife held him back. They had come here for a peaceful holiday and she did not want things to get worse. So they turned around and began to walk away quietly. And then, right at that moment, the security guard reached out and slapped Hatch's daughter across the face. That was it. That was the one line that Hatch could never allow anyone to cross. The anger that he had been holding inside finally exploded, and that is exactly where our story began. After all the chaos settled down, the whole family was taken to the local police station. Hatch's wife spoke with the police officers while Hatch sat beside his son. He looked at Brady and told him quietly and calmly that even though he wanted to protect his sister, jumping into the fight like that had only made everything much worse. You are telling me to be calm, but you were the one who got into a fight with everyone. Brady was completely stunned. He could not believe that his own father had beaten up people at the police station. Just then a policeman walked in and took Hatch to a private office. Sitting inside was Martin, the mayor of the city, and also the father of the boy who had caused trouble at the gaming arcade. Martin looked at Hatch and said firmly, "I know you are the tourist who beat up my son." Hatch thought that Martin would use his power and authority to take revenge. But surprisingly, after listening to Hatch calmly, Martin let the whole family go without any punishment. However, the policeman standing nearby was not happy about this at all, because the security guard from the arcade was one of his own men. The next day the family decided to go out and explore the town again. At a gun shooting game, Hatch's wife hit a perfect and accurate shot that left her son completely speechless. It was clear it was not wise to mess with this family. Hatch's elderly father did not join them this time. Instead, he rented a small quiet spot by the roadside and sat there peacefully, slowly drifting back into memories of his old and glorious days. The family had barely been out for a short while when Hatch noticed that a policeman was secretly following them. He stayed calm and did not let his family panic. He quietly decided to handle the situation himself. He sent his family off on a boat ride, made a small excuse to stay behind, and then slipped onto a separate boat on his own. Just as he expected, the thugs came for him immediately. Hatch wanted to resolve things peacefully. After all, he had come here for a holiday, not a fight. But one of the thugs rushed at him and grabbed him by the throat. That left Hatch with no choice. He struck the thug hard, then threw him across the boat using a life jacket. He grabbed another thug and hurled him straight out of the boat. Luckily for that thug, he managed to hold on and did not fall into the water. Then a bearded thug picked up a weapon and attacked with full force, but in the chaos he accidentally shot and killed his own partner. Hatch grabbed the bearded thug's right hand, picked up a rubber tube and smashed it over the thug's head, knocking him completely unconscious in his seat. Another thug who had fallen down tried to climb back up. Hatch spotted him and took him down instantly. Then the corrupt policeman stepped forward and struck Hatch across the face. Hatch did not want to hit back. Attacking a police officer is a serious crime. But the policeman was not backing down. In a shocking and brutal move, he pulled out a blade and cut off Hatch's little finger. As Hatch bent down in pain to pick up his severed finger, it slipped and fell into the river and a fish swallowed it whole. Hatch stared in disbelief. He stood up quickly but lost his balance and fell into the water himself. For a moment it seemed like he might not come back up. The thugs started celebrating, thinking it was over. But then Hatch burst back to the surface, alive and furious. His finger was gone, but his spirit was not broken. He did not care about the pain. He climbed to the shore, grabbed the policeman by the waist and slammed him hard to the ground. The bearded thug turned and ran for his life, but Hatch launched a powerful punch that stopped him cold. Another thug came from behind to help, but Hatch hit him so hard that he went under the water. One more thug came forward. Hatch grabbed his wrist, took advantage of his injury, snatched the knife right out of his hand and turned it against him. Every single thug was defeated. Hatch then pried open the boat's hatch, dragged the last thug into the river and tossed him in so he could keep the severed finger company. The corrupt policeman was still crawling around trying to reach a knife, but Hatch walked over and made sure he had no chance. He leaned down and said through gritted teeth, Your boss is out there celebrating while you are here making a fool of yourself. You are ruining my holiday. I will make you regret it." And then he beat him down. Hatch's problems were only getting bigger. He could not understand why a simple family holiday had turned into a full-blown war. He called his CIA boss to find out what was really going on in this town. The boss laid it all out clearly. This tourist town had been under the grip of a powerful mafia for a very long time. Drugs and weapons were being traded openly in the streets. The city's mayor and police force both worked under the control of the same criminal organization. The leader of this mafia was a ruthless Russian woman named Dina, violent, feared, and completely out of control. The boss added that she might have some useful information for Hatch, but he warned him to be extremely careful now that his family was with him. There was more to the story. Mayor Martin was not actually a willing criminal, he was trapped. His own father, while still alive, had secretly handed over the entire city to Dina as payment for a loan. Martin had spent years doing terrible things just to pay back that debt. Now, with the loan finally almost finished, Martin had told Dina that this was his last job, and he wanted full ownership and control of his city back. How could Dina ever agree to give up control of the city? This town was the heart of her entire criminal empire. So to keep Mayor Martin under her thumb, Dina ordered the police chief to kidnap Martin's son. With his child in danger, Martin had no choice but to keep doing whatever Dina demanded. It was right at this moment that Hatch showed up. "How did you get in here? Is that petrol?" The police chief stared in disbelief. Hatch calmly held up a lighter and made his position very clear. If they stopped harassing him and his family and left them alone, he would walk away without any trouble. But if they did not, he would burn every single thing in that place, the money, the goods, all of it, to ash. The police chief knew very well that Hatch was no ordinary man. This one person had already sent many of his men to the hospital all by himself. Feeling cornered and helpless, the police chief had no option but to let Hatch go. But just as Hatch turned around to leave, Martin's son burst out of the car and ran toward him. He grabbed Hatch and begged him desperately for help. Hatch hesitated. He did not want to get pulled into any more trouble. He had already been through enough. So he made up his mind to leave right away. He got into the car and drove off. But he did not get very far. He slammed the brakes, sat still for a moment, and then turned the car around. Because at the end of the day he was a father too. And a father cannot drive away when a child is crying for help. What followed was like a storm hitting the warehouse. The sound of gunshots began echoing through the building. Screams and shouts filled the air. Thugs came running and stumbling out from every direction. It was clear that the CIA boss's warning had been absolutely right. This town was far more dangerous than it looked. Hatch fought his way through, taking down thug after thug. He picked up a gun and was just about to get Martin out safely when the police chief stepped forward and pulled the trigger. He tried to fire more shots, but his gun was empty. Hatch did not go after him directly. Instead, he took careful aim and shot the light fixture hanging from the ceiling above. Sparks exploded in every direction and rained down on the piles of illegal cash stored below. Fire spread fast, and within moments the entire warehouse was burning. Far away, Dina was watching everything unfold on a monitor. She saw Hatch's face on the screen and felt a cold rage building inside her. She had never come across this man before. She searched for information about him but could find nothing useful, only photographs from his family holiday. No background. No file. No history. But it did not matter who he was. Dina had already made her decision. She was going to destroy him completely. She gathered every man she had and prepared to go to war with Hatch. Meanwhile, Mayor Martin wanted to personally thank Hatch for saving his son's life. He took Hatch to a hidden weapons storage room filled with old but fully working guns, rifles, and equipment, all left behind by Martin's late father. Dina had murdered Martin's father, and now Martin had had enough. He was done being her puppet. He decided to stand beside Hatch and help bring Dina down once and for all. To prepare for the final battle, Martin cleared out the entire amusement park nearby so that it could serve as the battlefield. Hatch's old and trusted friend Blackie also arrived to join the fight. And of course, Hatch's father was not going to sit on the sidelines during a battle this big. Once the team was complete, everyone gathered together, divided up their roles, and got to work setting up traps all across the amusement park. Every corner, every ride, every dark passageway was turned into a carefully planned killing ground. They were ready for Dina's most dangerous fighters. When night fell, Dina and her army arrived at the gates of the amusement park. The police chief stepped forward first to talk. He told both sides that there was no point in fighting any further and urged them to give up peacefully. The moment he turned back around, he realized that nobody on either side was even thinking about surrender. He signaled Dina to begin the attack. But Dina had not forgotten that her warehouse was still burning. Her fury was ice cold. On her signal, the police chief was shot and dropped to the ground. The thugs surged forward and the battle began. Hatch's team moved fast, using every trap they had set up. One by one, thugs began to fall. Then suddenly, a thug lunged out from a dark corner without warning. But a dog nearby barked sharply and gave Hatch just enough of an alert. He reacted in a split second, fired 2 precise shots and saved himself. On the other side of the park, Martin was fighting hard but slowly being pushed back. Then a bullet struck him in the neck. He dropped down, gritting his teeth against the pain, and pressed himself against the wall, quietly waiting for the thugs to come closer so he could strike. Meanwhile, Hatch was using the amusement park to his advantage. He slid down a slide with thugs chasing right behind him. He jumped down onto the road below, but the thugs had no way to follow. They were completely stuck up top with no way to get down. Seeing his son in danger, Hatch's father stepped in without a second thought. His weapon was old, a heavy manual machine gun from another era, but in his hands, it was still devastatingly powerful. A father is a father after all. But then, in one terrible moment, a thug seized the opportunity and blew up the small shelter where Hatch's father had been stationed with a bomb. Hatch watched it happen. Something inside him snapped. He was no longer fighting calmly. He was furious. At the same time, on the other side of the park, Dina's men had tracked down the cabin where Hatch's family was staying and moved in to attack. But they had no idea that Blackie was already there, waiting silently in the dark. With the smaller thugs dealt with, the bigger and more dangerous fighters stepped forward. They carried no guns, instead they came armed with samurai swords. And with that, Blackie's own battle began in full force. Back in the main fight, Hatch rushed over to Martin, quickly covered his neck wound, and was about to go search for his father when he suddenly came face to face with Dina herself. She had arrived with 2 female fighters and they came in swinging. The first woman stepped forward, Hatch slapped her back hard. Then the second one punched him clean across the face. The first woman came at him again from behind, but Hatch grabbed her and threw her to the ground. Then he took a kick that sent him crashing into a table. Both women picked up their weapons and came at him together. Hatch did not know which way to turn. He was outnumbered and outmatched. They beat him badly and left him completely helpless. Now he was at their mercy. Dina stepped forward, raised her gun, and pointed it straight at Hatch's head. It looked like the end. But then Martin, fighting through his injury, took down one of the women just in time. The other one immediately turned and charged at Martin, but he took her down too. It seemed like the tide was turning. Then Dina moved fast. She threw a knife and stopped Martin in his tracks. Then she turned and hurled another weapon directly at Hatch's throat. He could not dodge it. He went down. It seemed like Hatch was finished. And then Hatch's wife walked in. Dina spun around and threw a knife at her instantly. But Hatch's wife was no ordinary woman. She moved with speed and precision, knocking the knife aside while firing her gun in the same motion. The bullet found its mark and struck Dina directly in the eye. Dina collapsed to the ground and did not get up. It finally felt like it was truly over. But then more thugs poured in through the doors. Both Hatch and his wife were exhausted, battered, and running on empty. They stood their ground, but the situation looked grim. Then a familiar sound cut through the chaos, the trigger of an old machine gun being pressed. Hatch's father was alive. He had survived the explosion. And in one long sweeping burst of fire, he took down every single remaining thug in the room. Dina, lying on the ground in her final moments, let out a strange, broken laugh. And just like that, it was over. Hatch's family had survived. But the night was not completely done. The whole family was taken in for questioning at the local police station. However, in the middle of the interrogation, a phone call came in from high above. Senior government officials ordered the police to release Hatch and his wife immediately and without any conditions. They walked free. But freedom came with a price. Hatch was once again in debt to the CIA. And if the story is any hint, It seems like Hatch and his wife will not be paying off that debt alone this time. They will face whatever comes next together. If you liked the story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you for watching.